everybody. Welcome to Cat Chat. I'm Kat, and chatting with me today is Jonathan. Yay!
Hello.
Welcome. Now, for all of you who don't know, Jonathan has just graduated with an MA in performance at Mountview. We're going to talk about all things music and drama. I used to have a friend who was an actor. Well, he was a postman and he tried to become an actor, but his delivery was terrible. So hoping that's not the case with you.
Fingers crossed.
Right, so do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm born and bred Geordie. Was raised in Newcastle, and moved down to Cambridge for uni when I was 18. Did an undergrad in music. Didn't spend much time actually doing the degree, to be honest, because the real reason I wanted to go to Cambridge was to do the theatre. And had the best time. It was so fun, and the degree was, that was a nice fun hobby on the side. And so got a place at Mountview, which was amazing because it was my first choice. It was where I really wanted to go, and so I'm studying there in the times of COVID, which is strange.
Yeah, but you managed to do. I saw you've managed to do some performing. I mean, that's impressive to have done. What were you in 3-4 shows this year alone?
Yeah, so we had one big show at the end of the year that was in the actual main house theatre, and that's the one that you invite agents to and people come to. So we did Raw Restored, and it was two acts, and each act was a different play, and I was in The Roaring Girl, which was one of the shows, which is it's kind of Jacobean theatre but by someone who isn't Shakespeare. And yeah, it was really great that we got to do it, because a lot of the other shows, if someone gets COVID and then the show goes down, you just can't continue.
Yeah.
And we were really fortunate that we got to go ahead and do it, so thanks to the fates, I guess.
No, but okay, so that was the show where agents come and scouts. Tell us, how's that work?
So we did a showcase first, which was just 2 monologues, or if you're MT, then you do 2 songs. And we sort of sent out these 3-minute, 4-minute videos out to agents, which is a good thing to do. And then after that, if we got interest, then people were invited to come and see the show, was kind of how it worked. And so I was very fortunate and grateful to sign with Georgina at Smile Casting, big up, she's a legend, who is trying to get me plenty of work, so big thanks to her. But so advice, I think basically it's networking is a very dirty word, but you do just kind of have to do it. Because as much as everyone has a fantasy of working in a coffee shop and one day you'll just get seen by the casting director and they'll put you in a Hollywood movie, that just doesn't happen in real life. And so if you've got any showreel material or any recorded stuff, then that's amazing. But if you don't, just make some. Get a mate to record you, say doing a couple of monologues, or if you've got friends who are actors, then do a scene together. And if you know someone who's got a camera, put it together. It doesn't have to be high budget. The thing with sending stuff out to agents or casting directors is basically whenever you've got a reason to, do it. And so find agents that you like, or casting directors for stuff that you'd want to be in. And whenever you have a reason, so if you've got new headshots, or if you've just filmed a scene that you want to show people, or if they're undertaking on a project that you think you'd be really good for, message them.
Well, the other thing I was going to talk about was you went to acting school, as in you've done the thing that most British actors who then make it do, which is university, acting school, drama school, and then hopefully the big break. And I mean, the way well, no, but you're ticking boxes. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And British actors specifically tend to do drama school, then theatre, probably a bit of Shakespeare, then you go into a bit of contemporary, then you get seen by somebody in Hollywood, and all of a sudden you're in a Marvel film or something. Having been to drama school, do you think it's necessary?
I think it's really valuable, and it was great for me. I thought I was brilliant when I left university, and then I arrived at drama school and realised quite quickly that I wasn't. I think I'm all right now, but you learn an awful lot. Do I think it's necessary? No. There are absolutely other ways to do it if you want to act. You can join theatre troupes, or you can start trying to get into fringe theatre, or just write your own stuff. I mean, the thing that we've had told to us constantly this year, if you leave, even if you sign with Hamilton Hodel or whoever, if you just sit at home waiting for the phone to ring, you're not going to work.
Yeah.
Because your agent takes 15%, you have to do the other 85%.
Yeah.
the way to work is to be putting stuff on, to finding work for yourself. And so I know plenty of people who came out of uni and didn't go to drama school and are now signed or are making their own stuff, and it's really exciting. It's really cool.
Yeah.
But I learned an awful lot, and I know that it was right for me to go.
Great.
Not necessarily what everyone needs to do.
Very politically correct answer.
Yeah, I'm covering the bases there.
Oh yeah. So you studied music at uni. I mean, you participated in some capacity in 45 shows. Well, 45 that I could find. So there are probably more than that. I do not know how you managed to fit in 45 shows, just commitments in 3 years.
It was a lot.
It's a lot.
It's why I went, and I wasn't going to do it half-heartedly.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Makes sense to just take the opportunities that are presented. And you did, and it's paying off. But you haven't abandoned music yet.
I had a mixed relationship with my music degree. I enjoyed it more as the years went on because I got to choose more what I was doing.
Yeah.
And so in first year it was very like, well, as well, like super old history and lots of theory, and like if you were an organist you do brilliantly. I'm not, so I didn't. But then as time went on, I got to study the stuff I was actually passionate about, and I like wrote a dissertation about video game music and studied pop and psychology, and that was brilliant. I really enjoyed that. But I was not shedding too many tears to be leaving academia behind when I did. But music's like a huge part of what I'm up to. And so for one of the shows that I did this time, we had to do like a creative project, and that consisted of like a shortish essay that accompanied it, but the main body of work was a 30-minute piece of work that you had to make, and it had to kind of incorporate some levels of dramatic theory, one or another, which is cool. And so I was looking at sound studies, and I was thinking about my like accent really, and so my relationship with my regionalness through accent, and the way that culminated was in folk music, a lot of it. And so I did a lot of songwriting for that, which was great fun. I've had this broom cupboard of a room this past year. It was just me and a tiny keyboard, and this was also peak lockdown 2, 3, one of the lockdowns, so we couldn't go anywhere. And so I was just trapped in this tiny room, and it was just like, right, make some art, do it right now. Which is good fun.
No, but that's fun. But do you think you're gonna go for like musicals at some point? Because I know you were in a few at Cambridge, and you do still sing, you do still act. It's sort of like a natural combination of the two.
I'm not averse to it. I'm not a huge dancer. I'm partial to the occasional waltz, and we did have dance lessons this year. But I think like I'm really excited by the prospect of like actor musicians becoming more like into the fray. Like there's quite a few actor musician companies going around, and I remember once I saw a production of Fiddler on the Roof where every actor was an instrumentalist, so there was no orchestra in the pit, they were all on stage, and that was just brilliant. But I do love musicals, and if the right one came along, I would certainly not say no.
Do you think the perception of an actor, especially a British actor now, is so sort of, there's a stereotype that everybody sort of blindly gives into the whole, well, Jude Law, Hugh Grant, Benedict Cumberbatch type sort of look and roles, and if you're in an American film, you're the baddie or you're the James Bond type character. Do you think people are moving more out of that now?
I hope people are moving out of it, because it's certainly not my casting type as a short northern boy.
but still, like Tom Holland and similar actors are doing exactly that, which is like taking over from the Hugh Grant and going into
the next generation. I like to think that people are moving away from it. I think sort of maybe more like 30, 40 years ago, like regional accents in British theatre were quite rare, really. Like you were taught RP at drama school because that was the way one was supposed to talk. Whereas now there's a big shift away from that. And if Tom Holland came along and said, "Oh, Jonathan, I've broken my leg. Will you do Spider-Man for the next film, please?" I wouldn't say no. Obviously not. Give him a very tight embrace and be on my merry way. But I think there's in the industry now, there's a more space for different kinds of underrepresented voices, be that from people from different parts of the UK that aren't just London, but also for women and for queer voices and for black voices. I think there's a shift which is long overdue in every capacity, but I think there is an interest in that kind of thing, and I find that stuff so much more interesting to watch.
Yeah.
As great as a kitchen sink drama set in Finsbury Park is, it's like seeing something that's estranged from your own kind of the world that you sit in normally, and hearing a story about that to me is so much more exciting.
Yeah.
And so I think times are changing. I certainly hope.
Okay, well, so what would your dream role be then? Like if tomorrow your agent called up and said, right, we've got this, what would be the one that you're hoping for, dreaming about?
It's a hard question. I think film and TV. If you've ever seen ITV's Vera, it's one of the best shows on telly. If you haven't watched it, it's like a crime drama set in the northeast, and I love me a crime drama. So if someone came around the corner and said I had an audition for me for Vera, I would lose my mind. But theatre-wise, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Shakespeare, and we got to do some Shakespeare this past year, which was great. But I've done bits and bobs. I did some student films up in Newcastle and things like that, and we filmed showreel scenes at Mountview this year as well, which normally your showreel would be just like clips of everything that you've been in, like any professional thing that you've been in, but obviously none of us have been in anything yet.
Yeah.
But we need your casting directors, and so you find a couple of scenes from like TV shows that you really like. So I did a scene from Fresh Meat, if you've seen that, which has got to do my best Kingsley impression. Like it's a totally different way of performing, but I find it's just a different kind of challenge. The game's the same, but the rules are different, and I love both. And also at this stage in your career, you can't really afford to be too fussy.
No, I agree, but we're not brushing over that whole Kingsley impression that you just didn't give us, so please go ahead.
So it was the scene where Josie tells Kingsley that he's terrible at sex, and that she doesn't ever orgasm in bed. I'm trying to think of one of the lines. What does he say? He goes, so you told me I was shit so that I'd worry about it less.
Excellent.
I enjoyed that a lot.
Okay, well, since you've already given us some impressions, and you mentioned that you know how to do different accents, and I found the accents that you supposedly know how to do, I thought we should play a little game where I ask you some questions and you answer them, each question in a different accent. Here we go. Right, speed round. If you could meet somebody right now, dead or alive, who would you like to meet?
I'd have to say Rose Matafea. She's one of my favourite comedians, and I've immediately gone into New Zealand because I'm talking about her.
Next question. Your dream role in stage and why?
If we were doing a musical, it would be Jeremy in Be More Chill, and if we were doing a stage play, it would be Orlando in As You Like It.
Fair enough. What is the most challenging role you've ever played?
Most challenging role I've ever played probably was when I did Ghost the Musical back at Cambridge, because that was a stressful production in many ways. But I think the most challenging role in terms of acting, probably when I did Brilliant Adventures and I had to play the man who is a drug addict. He's addicted to heroin and he's gone so crazy that he thinks he's a dog.
Fair enough. Favorite actor and why?
Oh, that's a hard question. My favorite actor, I'd say Joey Beatty, because he is a Geordie like me. He does a lot of music, and I think he's absolutely brilliant in The Witcher, and I also love his band.
I don't know if I should be offended or say that was really good, but we're just going to carry on from there.
That was the one I was most worried about.
Film or television, and why?
Television, because I think you can get more story in when you have a series run as opposed to squeezing it all into a film.
Stage or film?
I would say it would have to be stage because it's what I grew up on,
If only one could exist, what would you choose? Theatre or music?
Oh my lord, that's the hardest question you've asked so far. Well, if theatre disappeared, I would be out of a job. So I guess I have to say that. But I would be very sad to see music go. I would.
American or British comedy?
British comedy every time.
Success without fame or fame without success?
I'm just trying to get into the accent. Look, I would say success without fame every time. If you're in this industry for fame, you're putting yourself out to fail. That's what I say.
Okay. And last one, I think. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I'd love to see myself in a touring production that went to the Theatre Royal in Newcastle. But truly, I will be quite content as long as I'm working.
Hey, you did well.
That was a real test. My
Really
agent will
was.
thank you for making me test my spotlight.
Well, thank you so much for chatting to me today. Everybody, give a big round of applause for Jonathan. Woo! Right, well, thank you everybody for watching, and make sure to do the whole thing that everybody does on YouTube. So the whole like thing, share if you want, subscribe if you want, comment, etc. But be sure to follow Jonathan, because I'm going to put his information in the bit below. Bye.